Okay.
L for loser.
Begin. People versus Diana Bales.
People are ready, Your Honor.
Before we proceed, is Diana Bales your true name?
Yes.
Are you also known as Merquez?
Merquez.
Merquez.
Yes.
Merquez is her maiden name, Your Honor.
That is my maiden name.
How do you spell it?
Merquez.
The complaint is amended to reflect the spelling of Marquez to Merques and showing the true name Diana Bales. Proceed, please.
Mr. Phillips.
Face the clerk. Please raise your right hand and be sworn. Please be seated up here. State your name and occupation, please.
Alan Edwin. The last name is Phillips. Phillips. I am a police officer with the University of California at Santa Barbara, temporarily on loan to the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department, the narcotic detail.
Were you assigned to that detail on August 6, 2003?
Yes, I was.
Are you acquainted with the defendant in this action, Diana Bales?
Yes, I am.
Did you have a conversation with Diana Bales on August 6, 2003?
I did.
Where did that conversation take place?
It took place on 2981 Cliff Drive, which is the entrance to Arroyo Burro Beach.
Is that located here in the city and county of Santa Barbara, the state of California?
It is.
Would you please relate that conversation with the defendant?
The defendant and I met in the parking lot to the entrance to Arroyo Burro Beach for me to buy some marijuana. 1 pound was the amount set on. She arrived and got into the vehicle that I was in, and she had a brown paper bag. She stated that this was the marijuana. I looked in the bag and observed a green leafy material inside the brown bag suspected of being marijuana, and I gave her $140 of Santa Barbara County recorded funds.
And what did she give you?
I already had the suspected marijuana.
May I have it, please?
Yes.
At this time, if the court please, the people would like to offer the brown paper bag and its contents identified as People's Exhibit Number 1 for identification.
The clerk will so mark it.
Mr. Phillips, I direct your attention to People's Exhibit Number 1 for identification and ask you if you recognize that exhibit.
Yes, sir, I do.
And when and where did you first see this exhibit?
I saw that in the parking lot of Arroyo Burro Beach on August 6th of this year.
Is this what you purchased from the defendant on that day?
Yes, it is.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Watley?
Is this the first conversation you had ever had with the defendant?
Yes, it is.
By that, you had no telephone conversations with her prior to that day?
I personally did not.
Were you ever present when someone else had a conversation with her, had a conversation on the telephone?
No, sir, I was not.
And who was it? Who had made the arrangement for the purchase of this pound?
My informant and his ex-wife.
And who was your informant?
Michael Morrissey.
I take it that the reason you say that they made the arrangements is because Mr. Morrissey told you that?
I would object, Your Honor. I think it is irrelevant and immaterial as to what Mr. Morrissey told this officer.
Overruled.
Yes. He advised me that it was set up through the defendant.
I take it then that you yourself had no personal knowledge as to how the arrangements were made other than what Mr. Morrissey told you.
Only what I was told, yes, sir.
And you were told that by Mr. Morrissey only or by other people?
I was told that by his ex-wife also.
Now, his ex-wife is a lady named Karen Morrissey?
That is correct.
Now, you had been working, I take it, with Mr. Morrissey for a period of several weeks before this transaction of August 6, is that correct?
That is true.
And Karen Morrissey also was arrested at or about the same time that this defendant was arrested for the same offense. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is it true, sir, that Michael Morrissey was working as an operator for the purpose of trying to set up a buy of 1 pound of marijuana?
Yes. I was using him, yes.
And how long have you yourself been working with Michael Morrissey?
Approximately a week and a half, 2 weeks.
And who is it that introduced you to Michael Morrissey, the operator?
Now, Your Honor, this is going way beyond the scope and purpose of this proceeding.
Overruled. You may answer.
Oh, I was introduced through a narcotic agent from the city of Santa Barbara.
Is that Sergeant Kirkwood?
It came from him, but I was introduced by another agent.
Agent Alpert?
Yes, sir.
Do you know why Mr. Morrissey was working as an operator?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for a conclusion of this witness.
Sustained.
Did this operator ever tell you why he was working as an operator? What his motivation was?
No, sir.
Now I direct your attention specifically to August 6th, when this transaction happened. Who else was present at that time besides you and the defendant?
Our surveillance units, which consisted of Agent Alpert and Agent Sanborn.
Was Michael Morrissey present?
Yes, he was.
Were you in a motor vehicle when this transaction happened?
Yes.
Whose motor vehicle were you in?
Michael Morrissey's.
And had Michael Morrissey driven you to this spot?
He had.
Was anyone else present besides the three of you?
Yes. There was another subject who she came with.
And how long was the defendant there at the time this transaction took place?
Oh, it was only approximately 15 minutes. It wasn't long.
About 15 minutes or so?
Oh, approximately, yes.
So I take it there was some conversation before she handed the marijuana to you?
We made small talk, yes.
Did you have any conversation about marijuana before she handed it over to you?
Yes. There was a conversation about what was in the bag or what she had brought. I don't recall exactly what it was.
Well, did Morrissey introduce the defendant to you?
No. The defendant pulled up in the parking lot and got out of her vehicle, and I advised her that go ahead and open the doors and get in,
All right.
at which time she did.
And did she have this bag with her when she first came up?
It was under her feet in the vehicle, and she took it from under her feet as she got out of the vehicle.
The same bag. Is it the same brown bag?
Yes, sir.
And was the marijuana packaged in that cellophane?
Yes, it was.
So, in essence, it is just like it is, except for the writing on it and the tags that the police have put on it.
That is correct.
All right.
And possibly a tear or two.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Did you, after she handed you the bag, did you ask her any questions about where she had gotten the marijuana?
I didn't question her in regard to where she had gotten the suspected marijuana, only if she could do more, and possibly whites, meaning amphetamines.
Did she have any conversation with Mr. Morrissey about where she had gotten the marijuana?
There was a conversation that I recall hearing that she had received it or had access for the suspected marijuana in Isla Vista.
Now, how long before this transaction was it that you first heard of the defendant's name as being a potential person who might sell you marijuana?
I had only heard it that day that we made the purchase.
I see. And you heard that from Michael Morrissey, I take it?
I did. And also his ex-wife.
Did his ex-wife say this to you face-to-face or during the telephone conversation?
I have talked to her over the phone in regard to the defendant.
And Karen Morrissey told you it would be Diana Bales or Diana Marquez who would be bringing it?
No. Her last names weren't involved. I only remember Diana.
But anyway, that is the first day you had ever heard about Diana?
That is correct.
And what was the purpose of not arresting Diana Bales or Diana Marquez that day?
Objection, Your Honor. Irrelevant and immaterial.
Overruled.
I was going to hopefully purchase, more at a later date.
Did you make an effort to purchase more at a later date?
Yes, I did.
Were any of those efforts successful?
They were not.
And by efforts, I take it that you called Diana and asked her for more stuff?
Diana didn't want anyone to contact her except for Karen Morrissey or Michael Morrissey. I didn't talk to her directly, no sir.
So you had Michael Morrissey attempt to set up some more deals?
Yes,
And did Michael say he was attempting to do that?